The UFO disclosure narrative just got very interesting. Recently, high-profile congressional briefings and former defense insiders have introduced a shocking new claim to the disclosure movement, that unacknowledged programs are actively cooperating with non-human intelligence in a shared biological initiative. But a closer look at the operational data reveals a completely different, far more calculated reality playing out behind the scenes. Today, we are going to decode the mechanics of this massive informational shift, exposing how human black ops networks utilize advanced terrestrial technology and the narrative camouflage to mask their own authorized information. All right, so what we're going to take a look at today, I just ran into, is a video that's up on, let's see, whose channel is it on? It is the Jillian Michaels channel. I took a screenshot. It was not my intention to make Elizondo look like that, but that's what happened when I just simply hit pause and then took a screenshot. So the video is this claim about alien experiments is breaking people's brains. I will put the link in the description. You can watch that whole video. But what is being presented in that video raises even more questions about not only what's going on, but what the narrative is. The narrative of disclosure keeps changing. So just please have your critical thinking cap on, because I'm going to expose some stuff for you. You've got to come to your own conclusions. I'm not going to make conclusions for you, but you can probably guess what my thoughts about it are. So I'm going to go ahead and read to you the quotes that are the most important from that interview. Let me see if I have it here. I think it's this one. Okay, so Matt Gaetz, this is Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz is a former congressman, and he has made a very interesting, mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing statement having to do with human-alien hybridization programs. I'm just going to go ahead and read the quote for you. So his quote is, he claims that a U.S. Army member told him about, quote, hybrid breeding programs where captured aliens were breeding with humans to create some hybrid race that could engage in intergalactic communication. All right, so I'm going to tell you what I know about this. Now, from that quote, I can't say whether or not he's saying this exactly. So I'm only telling you what I've heard from Dr. Stephen Greer. So here's what I'm doing. I'm not telling you what Matt Gaetz is saying. I am giving you an interpretation if I listen to what Dr. Stephen Greer has said about these programs and apply it to Gaetz's claim and his quote. So Dr. Stephen Greer has said publicly that he has evidence that he has uncovered in his efforts to get disclosure on this subject, that there are criminal, unacknowledged black ops military programs that use human abductees in order to experiment with genetic components from captured aliens, either live and or dead or whatever, in order to facilitate connecting with and taking down alien craft. So the idea is, according to Dr. Greer, is that alien craft are not powered by are not powered by technology the way ours is, where you push buttons and pull levers and do that, that it's done purely by consciousness. and that apparently aliens have very powerful telepathic psychic abilities where they can interface with their technology, which is far different from ours, and they're able to pilot their craft. So the idea is, according to Dr. Greer, is that these criminal, unacknowledged military units go and abduct humans, and then what they do isn't clear, but somehow get them to interface their brain with the ET, biological material in order to be able to reach out. I guess psionics, I guess, is a word for it. Reach out, grab a hold of the ships and take them down. So let's read it again, and you come to the conclusion if that's what Gates is talking about. So let's go ahead and read it again. So Matt Gates claims that a U.S. Army member told him about, quote, hybrid breeding programs where captured aliens were breeding with humans to create some hybrid race that could engage in intergalactic communication. So that may mean something totally different. That could mean that they want to reach out and communicate with aliens. You can come to the conclusion about that, but it's very intense, and you can see here from Jillian Michaels' face, she's like, what the hell are you talking about? She's having a really hard time with this concept. And apparently Elizondo there is having some kind of seizure. No, actually he was just in the middle of a sentence, and I hit pause, and he was like, people have done that to me before. They've taken screenshots of me. For some reason, whenever I make a video and YouTube will put up screenshots to choose from, I've always got some weird ass look on my face. So anyway, sorry, Luis Elizondo, but I caught you in mid-word, and there you are. All right, so now he comes on. So Elizondo comes on, does this video, and he is apparently responding to this because she comes out and she asks him. Now, she's very vague. She doesn't even mention Gates, by the way. She doesn't mention Gates' quote. You can watch it for yourself. She very vaguely refers to this and then turns it over to him. And then I'm going to give you his word salad. So here's Elizondo's. Now, bear in mind, Elizondo he presents himself as a former Pentagon insider. He is often referred to as a UFO whistleblower, all right? But we've seen, now what Gates said was pretty specific. And now here's Elizondo's response to that. So I quoted him exactly. Here's what he said. Excuse me. He said, there he is. He said, Luis Elizondo claims that, quote, what Gates is referring to is something called My Labs. And what it suggests is there has been a long-standing agreement between us and then he does air quotes and he says, our friends from out of town, i.e., obviously he's referring to aliens, that have allowed us to work with whatever these are, meaning aliens, in a cooperative agreement. And in exchange for that, supposedly they, meaning the aliens, would have access to certain human specimens biologically in order to test. So when I actually put it out there, it's just this really vague word salad. When you watch it, it's clear that he's saying, well, I'm not going to say he's saying it, but the impression I got when I listened to him was that what he wanted us to think was that some governmental agency, military agency, has made a deal with aliens that they are cooperating with aliens for what, he didn't say what they get, but that we're giving them human biological specimens. Now, when you hear that, right after you hear her talk about this, it sounds like what he's saying is that these government like the Pentagon, is giving them human guinea pigs in exchange for technology. Now, he doesn't say that at all. In fact, he doesn't even say aliens. He doesn't say aliens, he doesn't say ETs, and he doesn't say humans, he doesn't say captive humans, he doesn't say human bodies. So it's a very vague word salad. But I listened to it, and when I listened to it, if I were to then turn around and tell you what he said, I would have said, oh, the government is taking captured humans and giving it to aliens in exchange for technology. So this is why it's slippery, because he doesn't say that at all. So let's listen to what he says again. He says, quote, what Gates is referring to is something called My Labs, and what it suggests is that there's been a long-standing agreement between us and our friends from out of town that have allowed us to work with whatever these are in a cooperative agreement, and in exchange for that, supposedly they would have access to certain human specimens biologically in order to test. Now, he is saying something, he's claiming to explain what Gates said. So let's take a look at what Gates actually said. What Gates actually said was, quote, he, according to him, an Army member told him, hybrid breeding programs where captured aliens were breeding with humans to create some hybrid race that could engage in intergalactic communication. Gates was very clear. He said captured aliens. So then Elizondo goes to, here's what he meant. Now he talks about My Labs, which has to do with abductions of humans. And then he goes on to say, without specifying what My Labs are, he goes on to say that and without being specific, he sort of hints that here's the thing. This is what makes it so suspicious, because let's look at it. He's not saying anything. But the thing that I wanted to point out is that Gates is very clear. It's captured aliens in a breeding program being run by humans. That is the complete opposite of humans giving aliens human biological material for them to experiment on. Totally different. So he says that, and Jillian Michaels does not call him out on it. She doesn't say, wait a second, that's not what he said. What he said was that there's captured aliens are used by humans to create hybrids. She doesn't call him out on that. So you come to the conclusion on why that is. For me, this is all very slippery, and I'm not going to make any conclusions other than it's very suspect to me and very slippery. So let's talk about what My Labs are, because Elizondo, let's take a look at Elizondo's definition of My Labs. He says, he says that My Labs is a long-standing agreement between us and our friends from out of town that have allowed us to work with whatever these are in a cooperative agreement. So he's saying My Labs has to do with a cooperative agreement between humans and aliens where we exchange human biological material, whatever that means, in exchange for, he doesn't say what. So he's saying it is a cooperative agreement. That's not what Gates said. So now he also says that this is what My Labs are. He is saying that My Labs are a cooperative agreement between humans and extraterrestrials, having to do with human biological material. So let's take a look at what My Labs really are. Now I didn't come up with this. This isn't my definition. This is the definition according to Gemini Google. Okay? So I wanted to I'm doing this because I'm trying to make sure that I don't step on any YouTube landmines here. So according to Gemini Google, this is what My Labs are. MILABS stands for military abductions. It refers to a prominent theory within UFO and esoteric circles, claiming that certain individuals who experience extraterrestrial contact or abductions are subsequently kidnapped, interrogated, or utilized by covert rogue military factions. The core idea, MILABS, suggests that a hidden, highly classified branch of the human military is actively monitoring civilian contactees. The allegation: instead of aliens doing the abducting, proponents claim that these are black-budget military operations using advanced technology, reverse-engineered craft, and psychological warfare tactics to study the individuals. The purpose: according to the theory, these covert groups are looking to reverse-engineer alien tech, harvest genetic data, or program subjects for specialized off-the-books projects. All right? That is a hell of a lot different than Elizondo, who says it's a long-standing agreement between us and our friends from out of town that have allowed us to work with whatever these are in a cooperative agreement in exchange for human specimens. Huge difference. She doesn't call him out on any of this. She doesn't call him out on his alternative interpretation of MILABS. She doesn't call him out on the fact that he completely flips it around, because Gates says very clear that this is captured aliens used by humans to create hybrids. He doesn't even say, no, that's not it, it's this. He just goes, what he's referring to is, and then he comes up with a completely different theory. So, hey man, this sounds, look, so what is the definition of a psychological operation? A psychological operation, as I understand it, and I'm open to be educated about this, a psychological operation is when there is a group of people that have information that they don't want the public to know about. So what they do is they set up two competing narratives, and both of these competing narratives have some elements of truth. So one competing narrative would say that the government has secret knowledge. I'm not saying this is true. This is hypothetical. The government has secret knowledge about ETs and ET technology, and they are hiding this from us. They're using it against us, and they're lying to us. And then the government will come out and say, we don't know what you're talking about. We don't have access to any of that. And then some whistleblower, the second narrative, will come out. A whistleblower will come out. I say that in quotes. The whistleblower will come out and say, I've just discovered that the government has this information and I'm revealing it to you, and this needs to come out. And then he'll give partial truth, and then he'll completely flip the script and give just enough misinformation to completely steer you off the path. But because you feel like you've gotten secret information, you will just simply swallow the whole thing. And what's happened is that you have been fed complete, total misinformation, which then they can use to control you. All right? So I'm not saying this because I don't have enough evidence or proof, but because I don't know what the truth is. But I would definitely have no problem if somebody else came up with the conclusion that this was a psyop, because Gates is saying they took captured aliens and are using them to create hybrids so that they can, contact aliens. And then the so-called whistleblower comes out and, without even addressing it, says the opposite and says, what he's talking about, this is a very serious subject. What he's talking about is that we have a cooperative agreement with the aliens to give them human biological data that they're going to test. And so, yeah, you know. And then he goes on to say things like, now I have to be very careful. And he's very, very cagey. He doesn't say anything specific. And again, if you were to take this quote into a court of law, he doesn't mention aliens. He doesn't mention captured humans. But he puts just enough information. He throws the word my labs out there, and he throws the word human specimens in order to test, so that you make up the rest in your head. That, oh my God, human military has an agreement with aliens, and they're giving human captives to aliens in exchange for alien technology. And he didn't say any of those things. He didn't even mention aliens. He didn't mention captured humans. None of that. So if somebody wanted to say this was a psyop, they've got all the ingredients. I personally don't know. Maybe Elizondo is just not that smart of a guy and doesn't pay attention. And maybe he's just not able to verbalize his thoughts in a coherent way where you actually know what the hell he's talking about. Because I didn't get anything from what he said. According to Dr. Greer, I don't know this because I don't have the information or any proof, but according to Dr. Greer has publicly stated that he believes Elizondo is an agent of disinformation. So you come up with your own understanding. So there you go. Now, I want to say something else. I'm going to take it off in a little different direction here, and I'm going to go somewhere. Now, let's just fantasize for a moment. First off, I have no proof or research about what I'm about to say. What I'm about to say is purely hypothetical. But if somebody were to say to me that what's happening with this psyop is that they, whoever they are, according to Greer, this would be rogue criminal organizations that are operating underneath the unauthorized protection of, government money all over the world. That what they want is to create a fake alien invasion. Now, according to Greer, that's what he said. He said that people that came out of the early space program, I forget the Nazi guy who worked on rockets. He, according to Greer, on his deathbed, he said, "Be careful for the fake alien invasion." So we've got all these disclosure movies coming out this summer. We've got this guy. We've got Gates, who said this, I think, a couple of years ago, and then we've got Elizondo here, who's saying this right now. He's coming out to give his word salad, non-specific thing, which people definitely are going to listen to him and run away and come up with their own conclusions. And the reality is that Elizondo said nothing. It's just pure word salad. But if I were of the mindset, hypothetically, I would come to the conclusion that we were being set up for something. Now, I don't know what that setup is, or that if it even exists. But here's one that I think would be a good one. I think what would work, if I were to create this, if I was, if I was Dr. Evil, with my bald head sitting in my, my lair, and I was going to come up with this fake invasion, here's how I would do it. I would do it exactly like the Apple series called Pluribus. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's incredibly entertaining, and it's also incredibly disturbing. And according to conspiracy people, which I'm not one, as you know, according to conspiracy people, they say that this rogue criminal military organization, They believe that these people have an evil, dark, satanic religion. And according to them, according to the conspiracy theorists, they say that these people, when in order to be able to do their nefarious, horrible enslavement of the planet, they have to tell people first what they're doing. And this then gives them carte blanche. So the idea is that they can say, hey, we told you what we were going to do, and you didn't do anything to stop us, so this is on you. And it's interesting because a lot of the things people have brought up evidence, they've brought up evidence that these think tanks have come out and said really clearly all kinds of crazy stuff. You can go figure that out for yourself. I'm not going to tell you what it is. But hypothetically, if I were to do it, I would have, somebody like this guy come out and give a word salad and, right off the coattails of perhaps this guy. Who knows? Maybe he was fed this information. Maybe it's true. Maybe it's not. But, now we've got these two competing narratives. And then we have all of these, the Trump, Trump releases all of this so-called UFO disclosure out of nowhere. And so then what I would do is, if I were to fake an alien invasion, I would make it like Pluribus. And if you've watched Pluribus, what is really disturbing about it is that according to this show, aliens send a frequency, a radio frequency to Earth, which is picked up by scientists. Scientists take this and then they discover that it's some kind of chemical composition made up of DNA or something like that. And they put it together and they find out, it comes out, it breaks out. It's in a lab, and there's a lab leak and somebody gets infected. And then the next thing, everybody's infected. And they now have this hive mind. And they have this hive mind that they're going to infect everybody on the earth with this thing that's, they said in the movie, like a virus, but not a virus. And it's spread through human fluids. So all you have to do is kiss somebody and then they'll magically get it. And then they're just this hive mind. And supposedly they're full of peace and love. And they're just one mind, but billions of people. And there's a small group of people who are, for some reason, immune to this non-virus thing. And then what ends up happening is that billions of people, so the entire hive mind of Earth, which is billions and billions of people, almost the whole, a few people died during the infection, but they end up treating the humans that are alive that aren't infected exactly like AI treats us. They will do anything you want. You could be talking to anybody. You could pull over a 4-year-old kid and you could ask him, about science and he would be able to tell you whatever. They'll do anything you want. You don't have to pay anything. You don't have to have a job. They will cook your food for you. They'll clean your house. If you want, a whole gaggle of models to come and be your personal harem, as one guy does in this, they'll do that. They'll do anything. They know everything about you. They know everything about everything. And so it's when you watch it, I found myself really tempted by that idea. And of course, it's unrealistic because the truth is, if you had that, you would be so alone. It would be like living with AI. You would be so alone. And what would happen is that you would indulge, because there's nothing stopping you. They'll do anything you want. They'll give you anything and do anything you want. You would be left with your own narcissism, and your own narcissism would eat you up, and the emptiness in you would grow and grow and grow. It would be horrible. It would be hell, because you wouldn't have any value. Nobody would really love you. Nobody would really know you. Nobody would really care. There wouldn't be actual people there. And of course, this is nonsense, but this is a fantasy that's being given. Now, if I were to, like I said, if I were to create something like that, I would give people this fantasy. I would say, don't worry, you don't have to, you'll own nothing, you'll be happy, you'll rent, everything will be delivered to you. They even say that, in the beginning they say, you should stay home for a while because we got to clean things up, but we'll give you anything you want. Just dial 0 and we'll deliver all the food that you want or anything that you need or want. And this is what we're being told is AI. In fact, the people who are bringing AI, including, what's his name, the Doge guy, all of the billionaires are saying that they're now starting to talk about this, free money, that, you won't have to work. We'll just provide you with money and you'll have everything taken care of and AI will run the world. And if you think that's what's going to happen, that they're going to let you have your house and have your freedom and AI is going to run the world and it's going to be, if you don't think that they're going to start telling you where to live and what to do, controlling your income, since they're saying AI is going to take over everything, which means you won't need to have a job or be able to run a business. So we'll just provide you with your basic needs. That is if you watch, I believe, what it feels like to me when I watch it is that if there were this, hypothetically speaking, if there were this fake alien invasion, that's how I would sell it. And the idea is that it'll be like heaven. We'll all be one. Eventually, we'll all be this hive mind. We'll all be one together. And it is the exact opposite of what's really happening. So anyway, I babbled a lot, but I hope that was interesting for you. So I am actually an ET contactee. I've been in contact with extraterrestrials for almost to the day 4 years. And so I can connect with them almost at will. But one of the things that the abilities they've given me is I can channel for people their higher self and or their guides. And so I can tell you from their perspective who you really are in a higher sphere and whatever else they want to tell you. So if you want to have that, you can go to channel.thunderwizard.com. If you want to learn energy practices that will allow your body to handle the electromagnetic shift that we are experiencing as the world is shifting up, I'm finding it very interesting that there's all of these volcanoes erupting and all of these earthquakes happening. So there's a lot happening. The energy of the planet is going through a lot. If you want to be able to give your body the ability to handle these shifts, go to thunderwizard.com, go to the menu, click on memberships, scroll around until you see Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. If you just want to have one exercise that you want to do to try it out, to see if this energy really is what I say it is, go to thunderwizard.com. On the menu, click on Shop, scroll around until you find the Summoning the Immortals Qigong. Give it a try. And if you want to learn the most powerful energy practice on the planet, go to maoshan.thunderwizard.com. Those of you who are doing the Maoshan practices, I am just about ready to start doing live Zoom instructional classes. So we will have that very soon. Just give me a little time to put it together and I'll let you know about it. And we'll also record those and have those available for those of you who are doing the Maoshan practices. All right, that's it, my friends. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, I'll see you guys all very, very soon.